welcome to another live episode of I Wonder, Doctor.
I'm Dr. David Rosensweet,
And I'm Joshua Rosensweet.
and we come to you live every Thursday. This is our 1 o'clock segment. Of course, we have a 2 o'clock segment as well.
And today we want to talk about when enough is enough. When you do that amount of behavior that actually succeeds, that you're actually capable of maintaining and feeling good about.
It really derives from a question that we received, which is, Doc, I feel like a fool in the gym, and I keep falling into my old eating ways. Help. And this is the age-old question in medicine and business and a lot of other things. I think I know what to do, but I can't do it. I don't do it. I tell myself I'm going to do it. I understand to do it, but I don't do it. And we personally, and of course me working with a lot of patients, I understand this is the most significant thing to learn when you want to heal or you want to preserve your vitality into all the years that you're on earth. A wonderful thing to do. And it's what does it take and how do I do it? And it always comes down to, are you exercising properly? Are you eating properly? Are you doing really well emotionally with the stresses in your life? And there's a certain number of people that are getting exposed and have been exposed to toxins, and they got to know how to detoxify. So just think of that. There's just 4 major subjects: to heal, or to maintain and even increase vitality, though that would be a new frontier.
Here's an aha moment I had at the gym. I look around at the people there and I realize that some are intimidated because there's beautiful physical body types there, people in perfect shape. But there's another reason that I look around and I realize people are intimidated because they've heard a million little details they've got to be doing to lift right. They're reading new styles and changing trends, and they're really trying to be the perfect exerciser, as an example of this. And my aha moment was, I've been going to the gym for a very long time, and the majority of what really matters, I learned very early on. If I followed a couple core, simple concepts, like, be gentle, the amount of reps, work lots of muscle groups, and that was enough. And it's great if you want to take it that last 5 or 10% and become amazing at exactly getting to the perfect muscle group and perfect range of motion and perfect breathing and all that. It's not that that's a bad objective. And yet, if you can do that, first, easy part, just show up, just lift, give yourself some room to do it imperfectly. I went, that I can maintain. I can do that if I'm kind, and enough is enough. A good idea today is better than a great idea tomorrow.
Absolutely. And just to emphasize what you said, I always find, and especially in the beginning, not so much now, that the most challenging thing in exercise of any kind, that includes going to the gym, it includes taking a walk around the block, a run through the forest, whatever it is, a ride on a bike, the most challenging thing is getting the idea in my mind that I want to do it and actually getting myself out my front door or onto the bicycle or to the gym. So it's the decision to get that in. Routine is great. And if you can get a routine going so that at 5 o'clock every day you're going to take a walk around the block or walk around 2 blocks, whatever it is you choose to do. Yeah. If you can accomplish that, what's going to happen to you over time is you're going to feel so rewarded by getting consistent exercise in. You're going to feel better, that it gets self-inspiring. So I'm now, and have been for a long time, as so many people are, I don't like to miss the gym. I don't like to do that. I don't feel right.
Yeah.
And then there's some core principles of exercise, the basics. And you've mentioned some of them. And one of them is, there's different types of exercise that I think we all should be doing. And one of them is proper stretching. And another one is proper cardiovascular. That means, best case scenario, you're walking or you're on a treadmill or you're on a bicycle or a stationary bicycle, whatever it takes to do some vigorous walking. And listen, if you're not feeling up to walking vigorously, walking slow is great. If that's your first step, if you can't make it 20 feet, so you decide, I'm going to walk 5 feet every day. Whatever it is, you try and get something that's humane for yourself, and this is what you were implying.
Yeah.
Get something, I can do that. I'm not going to be able to climb Mount Everest this afternoon, but I can walk out my front door and I can walk 20 steps. You know, if I get short of breath, next day I'm going to walk 15 steps, so I don't push myself. Whatever it is, where you're moving. And of course, everything counts. And if you walk up a stairs rather than take an elevator, if you're walking around the grocery store, all of it counts. And you could embrace and congratulate yourself at that. If you're jumping out of the car to go escort your kids back into the car after school, getting in and out of the car is significant in walking, so it all counts. And then you mentioned this too. One of the errors I see people make as far as exercise goes, and the principal one is they don't do enough of it. So you do more. And that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then the second biggest error is they push themselves too hard. And as a physician who has a love for microscopes, always have, I would push myself too hard during what kind of exercise I was doing, and the next day I'd be sore. And then I heard this old myth, no pain, no gain. And I thought, well, this is good, I'm getting sore. And then the older I got, and the more I explored that, I learned, no, that no pain, no gain to me is way wrong. And my measure of how did I do exercising today turns out 24 hours later. If I did the right amount, I am not sore. I feel good. And if I am sore, what did I do? I pushed my muscles, my tendons, my joints too far. They got overstretched, otherwise known as a sprain. When you look under the microscope at tissue that's been sprained, you see the rippage. You see the infiltration of the immune system trying to repair your damage. So what does it all come down to? It's not technical. Be kind. And if you don't know how far to go, be conservative the day you go to do your exercise, and then evaluate it 24 hours later.
I was going to bring up no pain, no gain too, for the reason that you said, but the real reason, my punchline was this. How long can I personally maintain a life filled with pain, right? Any type of regimen, a food regimen, an exercise regimen, that its primary ingredient is pain, I might have the willpower to do it for a day or a week or a month or I guess maybe a year, but it hurts. And I don't like pain, and I'm pain averse.
So you give it up.
So I give it up.
And that's yet the most important reason why not to push yourself. Because we all succeed at pushing ourselves for a day or a week or a month, but we'll give it up if the day we realize this is no fun. I'm not doing this. So I like to be conservative and choose an amount that I think I will do, and then to do it. And then just to break it down a little further as far as what kind of exercise is beneficial, when you're up to it, and if you're up to it, you do something to raise your heart rate. So a brisk walk is going to raise your heart rate. That gives that heart, that amazing muscle. I mean, anyone who lifts weights and evaluates their biceps a year after lifting weights regularly, they see that their muscle has grown and it works better and it's much stronger. Well, the heart is a muscle, and it's a great one to have them work well. And it also affects your lung capacity, which correlates with how long you're going to live, as much as anything on the planet does. How good are your lungs? How long are you going to live? Wow. And so if you get your heart rate up, and that's a good thing. And then we used to think that long-distance runners was an ideal way to go, and we don't think that way. If you're a long-distance runner and you're not hurting yourself, God, it's fantastic. These people are in some of the best shape in the world if they're not pushing themselves too hard. But a common thing that you might think of in your future is something called interval training. And you can do it walking around your block, or being on a beach or in the forest or in a park or on a treadmill. Treadmills work really well for this. Is you walk up to a basal pulse rate for, let's say, for 3 minutes, and then you speed up into a rapid walk or a trot or even a run on the treadmill, for example. And you get yourself to where you start to pant. And in the moment you start to pant, you go back to the walk. And you stay walking until you've caught your breath. And when you've caught your breath, you ramp yourself back up into whatever it took to get you panting. And there's technical measures of pulse rate. I tend to be conservative. I don't like to see my pulse go above 105, for example. And I can tell because I'm starting to get out of breath. Younger people will have much greater resilience there. But the simplicity of it is you walk, you trot, you walk, you trot.
You pant.
You pant.
You breathe easy, you pant, you breathe easy.
And if you do 20 minutes of that, and you'll usually get up to about 6 times where you get an interval that you're panting, and then you slow down. And this is called interval training. And if you talk to most professionals, they'll say, yeah, interval training is the cardiovascular exercise that is the best way to go. But anything you do, walking up the stairs, walking around your kitchen, walking from the kitchen to the bathroom, it all counts. So in medicine, the mantra that I've heard that is the most one to remember is move. Keep moving. If you're sitting at a desk, if you can remember to stand up, walk around, it's good for you. But this is type exercise number 2, the working of the heart, and of course you're working in the muscles. If you're walking, you're working your thigh muscles, your calf muscles, your trunk muscles. A lot of things are working there.
We took this directly to exercise, and that's what we opened with. But the basic concept that I thought we were opening with was be kind and do enough and not more.
Yeah.
You don't have to obsess about the perfect diet. Just make healthy choices.
Yeah.
Enjoy your food. Move in the right direction. You don't have to feel bad at the gym if maybe someone knows how to lift better than you. Just get there if that's the thing that's bringing you pleasure. And if it's not, don't do it that way, right? It's integrating and increasing the fun factor, kind factor, ease factor.
Yeah.
So that we want to do these things. We like them. We feel the benefits
Right.
of them coming and growing maybe, and not just another thing to push too far,
Right.
work too hard,
And
feel
pain,
bad
yeah.
about.
What I've noticed about gym environments is, I think there was a time I went in there shy because I saw all these super exercisers, but in the YMCA where we go, there's people of all ages there. And one of the things I've seen about the exercising population is they like the all ages, all age groups. There's a respect just for walking in the gym. And I think the super exercises, I find them to be especially kind because they know you've gotten on the train and they have super tender respect for you just having shown up there. So don't think they're out there judging you. I found that was a myth. I found they love the company and they see people are joining their world. People are getting into exercise. It's exploded across the United States. So it's a great thing. I find the gyms to be very friendly places.
Yeah, me too.
And then you mentioned around nutrition, yeah, can you be kind to yourself there? And I like the 5-year plans or the 10-year plans. So if you say, I've got to improve my nutrition. And then what I like to do with patients, but you can do with yourself because it's not hard, is a change that you could make. And sometimes it is, we've joked about this in the past, it's not a joke. If someone's drinking 6 Coca-Colas per day, do I ever say to a patient, stop all those Coca-Colas right now? And everything else is sweet. I never do that. I try and help them identify a goal that they think they could achieve, and I'm always more erring on the conservative side. I said, do you think you could possibly reduce from 7 Cokes a day to 6 Cokes a day? And they go, maybe. I already know I've stretched them. I said, let's try that. If it doesn't work, we'll come up with a different strategy, because we're not trying to get this done next week or next month or next year. In most instances, you want to think in terms of 5 years anyway. How long does it take to really make a significant change in your health? It takes a while. And the whole attitude is, doesn't matter how long it takes if you've reversed the downward thing, because you're choosing new habits and you have new commitments. So identify what yours is. Maybe for you it's, you realize that you're having cognitive issues. There's a list of things you should probably do. One of them is to probably eliminate wheat, not because that's the sure thing, but on the checklist, it's one of the things. You say, okay, I'm taking on bread, because I eat 3 sandwiches a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you take that one on. And so what if it takes you a month or a year? If you accomplish the one thing, you're so more likely to go, wow, I was successful. I can do this thing. What's my next project, Doc? And just in nutrition, the one I recommend to everybody is, if you're eating a lot of processed foods and in a lot of restaurants, start integrating fresh foods. So if you're eating canned broccoli, go to your supermarket or your farmer's market, oh yeah, farmer's market, and start buying the fresh broccoli that's not in the can. And just that one conversion, eating like our ancestors had to eat, because they didn't have a lot of cans out there, excuse me, nor can openers, nor cans. They'd eat stuff that grew and stuff that walked and flew. So, yeah, you switch to the real food away from the processed food. So, and then, there's other subjects like detoxification, and there's stress, and we covered that in other times. But the main thing is, can you identify one thing, not a nutritional thing and an exercise thing both at once, that you're trying to, I'm supposed to go to the gym, but I have to remember to eat? No. One thing that you know or you sense that if I did this really, I'm probably going to feel better. And you take on that one thing, and maybe the thing that appeals to you, I don't even necessarily say it's your highest priority. Okay, I can walk out my front door and walk around the block during 3 seasons of the year. That's my goal. Can I do that? And once you get that one under your belt, so to speak, then there'll come a time you go, what's my next project? I'm getting rid of boxed cereals.
Because you'll have hit the point with the first one where it's now natural and easy and fun. It's not necessarily immediately easy. It's change, and change is change. Yeah. But it does. We get there. So now, of course, since it's truly under your belt, you now have that space to go, all right, I'm ready for the next one.
And you keep doing that, and 5 years from now, you'll have added 10 healthy life practices, and you will change the course of your health and your life. It'll happen, and you'll look back and you'll go, look what I pulled off, and look at the rewards. I feel better. And I used to think in terms of illness and going to the doctor, and I don't think of that anymore. I'm concentrating on my day-to-day life. What a relief. So it's a miracle. And does this sound overly simplistic? Anyone who is ill, there might be some technical things for you to do. You might need to take some medicines for a while. You may need to have some surgery. You may need other interventions. But bottom line, if you want to recover your health and improve your health and heal from illness, you're going to have to improve your exercise, improve your nutrition, improve how skillfully you respond to stress. And some people will have to do some significant detoxification, and that's it. And it's going to rely on you. And we go to the doctor's office and we think, I'm going to the doctor's because this is going to do it. And then what you learn, and so many doctors know this, yeah, we can help you, give you a few tools, but it's what you're going to do in your day-to-day life, moment to moment to moment, that is.
As you were talking, part of my brain was drifting to the fact that this is long, and we often run long, and it's a very, very basic topic.
Yeah.
And it's sort of runs counter to what is popular right now, even in my own heart, which is new,
Yeah.
fancy.
Right.
If I just do this one new herb or this one new drug or
Right.
this one new sophisticated thing or this new test, that'll change it all. And those are the kind of headlines that grab the news and draw
Yeah.
my attention and draw
And
America's
it turns
attention.
out to be incorrect. I'm not saying there's good thises and that's.
Yeah.
They're out there. But one of the things I love, because I've been doing this for quite a while, is I like the pioneers. I like the people who spend 10, 20, 30, 40 years studying their particular area of expertise. And it just blows my mind that, like, one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, worth looking into, functional medicine, the father of functional medicine, he's about as brilliant as I've ever seen anyone in this whole field. And what did he come, years ago, he started shifting his focus, and he can get as technical as anyone on the planet. He started shifting his focus to lifestyle medicine. He started using that language. And he started encouraging the people that he's technically training to get down to the basics, the ABCs. Help your patients learn how to function in their daily lives, doing what they need to do to heal. So, a lot of ways to look at it, yes, a lot of words. It all comes down to the same thing: improve your nutrition, your exercise, how you respond to stress, and maybe you have some detoxification to do. And it's yours. And that's the good news. It's in your control. And take it on kindly to yourself, because we got a lot going on, and there's a lot of reasons we might be a little frightened or a little hopeless and stuff. So take on something you can do that, keep going. It's worth it. I played racquetball with my granddaughter and you yesterday. My God, it's such a thrill to be able to run on that court.
Lots of questions this week.
Sure.
The first question comes from Christy out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and she said, "My nails these days are rigid and splitting. Why is that, and what can I do about it?"
Well, that's a sign. Especially if when you were younger, and I'm assuming, I don't know what age you are, but it sounds to me like there was a time they never did that. And I don't get concerned about serious illness, but it does catch my attention. And it's your body talking to you, and that's how it works. Our bodies are having something not go quite well for them, and they give us feedback. Just look at my nails, look at my hair, look at my skin. Oh, I'm aching, I got pain. All the signals are there. And what are all of these signals for, including splitting nails? Something's not going quite right. And it's trying to catch your attention. And when to catch your attention, it wants something. Your body wants something. It wants the right answer. It's not going to accept this is an aspirin or a gelatin deficiency, because that's not the right answer. It's going to want the right answer.
Here we are again, sort of in a territory like how we opened.
Yeah.
My guess is the person who wrote this in was hoping for a simple fix. You were going to say something like, increase your B12
That's
or whatever.
right.
I pulled that out of the air.
Right.
And that would be the thing, and she or he would write it down, it's she, and the nails would get better, and you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. Bad doctor. And you know what? Occasionally it is something so simple like that. You're missing one nutritional element, and if you just supplement that, they're going to get better. And there are things, I mean, even when I was a teenager, some of the teenager girls were trying, in my social group, were trying to improve their nails by taking cow hoofs, otherwise known as Knox gelatin. And some of them did have protein deficiency, and the nails would improve. So let me get to the specifics.
And I didn't mean to knock it at all. I think it's become the unexpected theme of this for me.
Yeah.
That many of the most important, real life-changing things don't lend themselves to
Simple
simplified outside answers. If you just do this, everything gets better.
That's right.
It's an inconvenient
It took
truth.
years for something physical, usually, to change in a non-pleasant direction.
Yeah.
But let me focus in on the nails. I'm not being, I mean, sometimes the nails start changing because what nails are made out of are not being supplied. The diet doesn't have enough protein and minerals in it. nails, hair, protein and minerals, not carbohydrates, proteins and minerals.
Yeah.
And if your diet is deficient in proteins and minerals, you could wind up with a nail issue. So one of the common things, especially if you see white marks in your nails, and commonly if you look that up, you'll see, well, this could be a zinc deficiency. What? Zinc, one thing? Yeah, if zinc's deficient, would it be the only thing that was deficient? The soil would have to be, and thus the plants, and thus the animals that are eating them, would have to have an isolated zinc deficiency. And these kind of things do happen, but that's usually not the case. When I think zinc deficiency, I see if zinc is depleted, probably copper, selenium, all kinds of things are deficient. Iron. So, let's start with the diet. I always like to know, number one, are people eating a good diet? And what does that mean? You're eating real foods. You're eating vegetables that look like vegetables, and they don't come in a bottle, box, or can. Here we go again.
It's all good.
You're eating animals that are raised in a humane and healthy way, not cooped up in jails, cow jails or pig jails.
Eating what a cow should eat.
Yeah, they're supposed to be roaming around a field eating the grasses. Chickens are supposed to be running around the yard pecking at everything. So you got to go back to how our ancestors ate a couple hundred years ago, when they didn't have access to any of this stuff. So you get to real foods. And better yet, you get to organic. So I started asking people what's their diet like, and I have people do a 3-day diet diary of what they typically eat. And then, and this depends a little bit on your age, Christy, sometimes people are eating pretty well, but their digestion is diminished. This is legendary. Human beings have discovered this centuries ago.
You explained this to me once like this. It's a myth. We are not what we eat. We are what we successfully digest from what we eat.
And assimilate out of our digestive tract into our body.
Yeah.
And like everything, or is so common, as we age, it's not related to age, but as we grow older, all of our juices diminish. So I can tell you, because the focus we place on testing hormones, people peak in their hormones in their 20s, and they decline gradually all the rest of their life. And that is very challenging for them, because these hormones are powerful chemicals. And they do that with their neurotransmitters, and they do that with their digestive juices. So one thing you might try, and there's ways to detect this, and if you go into the I Wonder Doctor section on digestion, we talk about this at great length. There's a lot of videos there in digestion. And the main thing is, high tech, not so much. Digestion requires sitting down to some decent food and being prepared to sit there and enjoy yourself. And take your time. And I watch one of my granddaughters eat, your daughter. She eats so slowly. And she's a little self-conscious about it, I've seen at times. But she's the only one that I know is eating properly. She's taking her time. And the best thing you can possibly do for your digestion is chew. Chew, 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 chew.
Sorry to interrupt, as a slight aside, that same daughter who chews, has the best refrain. She stops with food left on her plate frequently.
Yes. Oh, tell me how radical that is. How many people pay attention to that?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a good habit to do, is you stop when you've had enough. Because overeating, people are concerned about their weight. Let's start with eating more than what you want and eating for the wrong reasons.
I'm sort of sorry to take you down that path. It's an added benefit to chew.
Yes.
You slow down and you don't eat too much. You get full on time.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because in order to register that you're not hungry, you have to have food break down all the way so small that it actually makes it into your bloodstream and goes to your brain, and your brain does a reading of, look at this, we've had a meal. It's not satisfactory for your eyeballs to see the meal on the plate, and that makes you lose all your hunger. And if you're eating very rapidly, you don't give that food time to assimilate. And if you eat slowly, there's been enough time for the food to get into your brain and say, oh, we ate, we feel satisfied. People who eat fast, they tend to eat more because they never get that satisfaction because they never gave the time for digestion to take place. This is a big deal.
We drifted too far away from the initial question
The
on
nails. So want to improve your digestion. These are simple things to try. Very often, things are very simple. And so you want to improve your digestion, you want to improve what you're eating, you want to improve your digestion, and some people have to augment even hydrochloric acid and or enzymes. And we talk about that in length in I Wonder Doctor, in the videos. So I'm not going to go into detail right now because you want to provide the raw materials that your body needs to make these highly technical things called fingernails. And the other day when I was visiting my mom, your grandma, our producer's great-grandma, she looked at my nails and she said at the age of 97, wow, your nails look so good. And I felt, ah, that's fantastic, it's a great thing. And I know what it takes for me to get my, I don't think about it, but you know, I know how I eat and I know how much care I give to this. And the main thing is, eat good stuff and learn how to digest it and assimilate it and take supplemental vitamins and minerals because our food supply just doesn't have it anymore. Unless you've got a garden in your backyard that you're growing food and you're picking it and taking it into the kitchen and putting it on the table, there's a nutrient loss. And what do you need? These nails are made out of minerals and protein. So there's a third thing is sometimes it's a good idea to supplement certain vitamins and minerals. And start with a multiple because it's very rare that you just got an isolated one, and sometimes we can learn more by doing hair testing and measures. So I'm keeping it simple, Christy. Sometimes nail issues are related to hormones, and so I don't know how old you are, but if you're over 30, your female hormones are declining, and that's not okay. And you can lose other hormones that can lead to nail issues. And yeah, there's even some illnesses. But that's not the common thing. The common thing with breaking and chipping nails is you're no longer capable of putting together the high-grade nails because you don't have enough raw materials. And you got to get them through proper diet, proper supplementation, chewing, chew, 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 and taking digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid, as many people do, especially when they're over 35.
Great. I think we have time for one more question today.
Sure.
Okay, this is Richard from Raleigh, North Carolina. He says, I'm in my early 20s and I already seem to be having memory problems. I used to have a great memory. Honestly, I find this very disturbing. What would you suggest I do?
Richard, is that right?
Yeah.
It's so, my granddaughter and I just landed near Raleigh, Durham to go visit a college a while ago. It was fun, it was a pretty area. Of course, I won't digress in answering,
No, not us.
answering Richard's question. You're on to something, and you're doing the most significant thing that must take place. You're detecting a memory issue early on, and you really want to respect it. And I would recommend a book. I don't want to concern you with the name of this book, but this particular neurologist has identified with as much detail as I've ever seen how people lose their memory. And so I'm going to tell you the name of the author is Dr. Dale Bredesen. And I don't want you to be concerned about the name. This is about changes to the brain of all sorts. And this one is called The End of Alzheimer's. But don't be concerned about that name.
Got it. You're just saying that what works for Alzheimer's also works for
Parkinson's, for all kinds of stuff, for memory loss, short-term memory loss,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. And you know, that's going all the way to where you get to educate yourself around, I mean, Dr. Bredesen identifies, I think it's 36 different common causes of how people get memory decline. And you're picking up on it at the perfect time. And don't think this isn't happening to others. It is. And again, it's going to take you back to the basics. You think, oh, this is going to be super highly technical and I'll never figure this out. And again, I hesitated to tell you the title of the book because I don't want you to be concerned. Dr. Bredesen has written the Bible on what causes people to have things that happen to our brains, and thus our memories, and how to address them. And you tune up your lifestyle, and that's what you do. And sometimes you need some technical help. But it's a great place to start right there. Now I want to give you some simple things. There's a lot of different things that can cause memory decline, and some of them is just stress. And so, see, if you and I were on the phone, and perhaps next week we could call in and I could talk to you and ask you a bunch of questions, but people who are stressed, they start messing with their brain chemicals, and this isn't, the loss of memory is just a signal that, okay, I guess I have to take on the subject called how I respond to stress. And as I've said so many times, I'm not saying take on this subject of eliminating stress. No way. Stress is part of human life, and there's even good reasons for it. But I am saying get better and better and better at how you respond to stress and all the chemicals that go on in your brain and in your body. So I don't know your specific age and your specific circumstances, and if I could have a conversation with you, or if you emailed me and told me a lot of detail about yourself, I would know where to zero in. But I mentioned the big stuff that really challenges brain. Sometimes just thinking habits where you overtax your brain.
I've never felt myself to have an amazing memory.
Yeah.
And you and I, summer before last, went on that camping trip where we took ourselves deep into the mountains and set up our hammocks and stayed there for a long time. And I love to read, and so I read a novel from start to finish.
Yes.
And then you and I sat down one day and you just asked me casually, what was that book about? And we had time on our hands. And I could recite to you from start to finish that entire book exactly as it had laid out. And
I was blown away, and you took hours to do it. And I was utterly fascinated by the story, and I was shocked by the level of detail you remembered.
Yeah. And why? I mean, it's the flip side to my stressed time. That was my most at peace, most focused, blissed out time imaginable. I was giving my brain the exact opportunity to truly delve into that book and remember it. And I did. And of all the books I've read since, I bet you I could still recite that book better than the ones I've read since, because
I know.
That was
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, here I am talking about my granddaughter again. But I remember one day when we had a very substantial workload all day here in the studio, and then we did the lives, and it was when we were first putting together the technology of the lives, and then she and I went out to dinner afterwards, and we're both sitting there at that dinner table. Our brains hurt because we had overtaxed our brain.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this day and age, when you're getting digital flashes from every which way, and we're overthinking. So let me take you back a step, because you are noticing that your memory is not really up to speed. And you take yourself back to the basics, which is my body is talking to me. And you're taking an important first step, Richard. You noticed it. And it's concerning you. And that's a proper, appropriate, and essential first response. So good going. I know that doesn't end it for you, but you've taken step one. Until someone sees it and admits something, nobody has a chance to accomplish hardly anything on earth. And so follow the bouncing ball. Take this project on, because you are going to unveil the issues of nutrition, toxicity, exercise, and stress, and how you respond to stress, that's going to take you into how this declined, because that's the causes of the thing all the time. And you can say, well, there's genetics, and I can say, no, it's how you treat your genes. Now, these things, you can get oblivious to the causes, because there can be just a lot of slow boiling things. I hate that analogy, so I'm not going further into it. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of causes, but we've lived in them so long, like maybe you're watching screens all day long and you've exhausted your mind. And then, of course, Kim is an absolute expert on what it takes to have good memory. And one of the things I've learned for her, because she works with people.
People may not know who Kim is.
Yeah, she's my beloved. She has worked with dyslexia and reading challenged and autistic, and the whole spectrum out there, and memory is one of their big things. And some people never learn how to remember things. What? You're supposed to be automatic memory. No. You have to show up enough to actually see and be a part of what's going on. And it's the technical term of the people who have done the very best work on the planet, Linda Mood Bell, they call it visualizing and verbalizing. You're focusing enough, and your attention is enough on the thing, and you're present enough that you actually see it and visualize it and are with it, and not moving on to the next thing, or not just touching on it but then forgetting it. So there's all kinds of things to improve your memory, providing these other core things aren't happening to pay attention to, and I can't cover the whole gamut. That's why I sent you to Dr. Bredesen at first. Another thing I really think that you should pay attention to is how your body works with glucose. What? Because one of the ways that we challenge our physical bodies that are so prevalent and almost universal and weren't even existent to the extent they are now when I was in medical school is the diabetes spectrum. Because we know what hurts the brain the most, outside of obvious toxic poisons and stuff, is excessive glucose in the blood.
Sugar.
Sugar, sweet. And so this is a whole subject. And we know that one of the most egregious things that have taken place in the American Western diet is the providing of excessive simple carbohydrates. And your body might be giving you a signal that you're going to need to get a blood test to test your fasting blood glucose, your hemoglobin A1C, etc. Or you can just look at your diet or go to a nutritionist. They can look at your diet. And if they're one of the more modern nutritionists, linger there, that they're going to go, you're eating too many simple carbohydrates, and that's going to raise your blood glucose, that's going to raise your insulin, that's going to give you insulin resistance, and ultimately that's going to affect a lot of things, including your brain. So one of the most common things that injures the brain and the memory is the whole march on to diabetes that takes place as you lose control of your body's ability to handle this rocket fuel called sweets.
We've got to wrap so that we can
Yes.
get ready for our next one.
Yes, okay.
But what a theme. The overall arching theme of this whole thing was this super basic concept,
Right.
hopefully not boring, called you just got to take care of this body
Yeah.
and do those kind things to it.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, nails, brains, whatever,
Right.
the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, connected to the brain bone.
Connected to the health food store. Connected to the YMCA.
Connected to the hammock in the mountains.
That's right.
Anyhow, thank you once again,
Thank you once again.
and we will see you all in 10 minutes or next week.
Or next week.